The first 2 weeks of Trump's second presidency may feel like 2 years, especially from the African perspective. First, he cut all aid to the continent, saying he needed to reassess whether continuing to support Africa was in the US best interest. And then, from seemingly out of nowhere,
terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things. It's horrible things. They're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
But are terrible things really happening in South Africa, or is someone in the White House leading Donald Trump up the garden path? Welcome to the flip side. So basically, Trump wants to cut all funding to South Africa and cancel trade deals because he believes that the new Expropriation Act will lead to the seizure of farms in the country without compensation.
The land will only be taken without compensation, firstly after a due process through the courts, and if the land is abandoned and not being used.
There's an elaborate process, in fact, for reaching fair value and appropriate payment.
So all governments around the world have the right to expropriate land. South Africa is no different.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa even told Trump that, quote, the recently adopted Expropriation Act is not a confiscation instrument.
South Africa's president issued what I thought was a fairly nuanced and thoughtful response.
Now, if this is a standard governance practice everywhere, why is the US president so upset about it? Why does he even care?
Why are you so obsessed with me?
And who's drawing Trump's attention to this non-issue in South Africa?
Of course, there are some people in South Africa who are unhappy with the legislation, some who have actually lobbied the US government over it, and that might be where this unhappiness is coming from the US government and from President Donald Trump.
At the same time, there's also the issue of Trump's new top advisor, Elon Musk, who for a long time has been smearing the country where he was born and raised. Having cut nearly all ties with his native South Africa, Musk has even suggested that the white minority is being massacred and that the genocide of white people is looming.
Anybody who does think that that's an extremist viewpoint, a right-wing extremist viewpoint that is not reflective of what the ANC thinks, of what the government thinks, and of generally speaking what the country thinks.
Meanwhile, land restitution has been very slow in South Africa, where white citizens still own most of the land.
So that land remains a meaningful and problematic issue in our country. So nobody thinks that willy-nilly Zimbabwe-style land should be stolen from white people or taken from white people.
And when it comes to the myth of genocide specifically, even Julius Malema, an outspoken far-left opposition populist politician known for his combative rhetoric, says there simply is no genocide.
They must be happy. We're not beating them up. They must be happy. We're not calling for genocide.
So why would the richest man on the planet and one of the most powerful leaders in the world both fall for such disinformation and lies?
Mr. Musk is, after all, supporting in word, deed, and presumably with cash, people like the AfD party in Germany, the Reform Party in Britain, the Rightist Party in France, and other such political parties.
A half-trillionaire son of the country like Musk could sign up to help social programs in South Africa instead of leveling false and frankly outrageous accusations. And that's the flip side.